The music industry has commonly been a place where a lot of unsung heroes slip through the cracks when musical success is the center of a discussion. It's easy to look toward metrics and certifications as the justification for putting an artist on a pedestal. Now, there are arguments for this, but in certain cases, numbers can lie. They absolutely can lie. An experience can be small to scale or short-lived, but leaves a major impact on a community for years to come. The future might feel clear as day, but it's never certain that every identical beginning will have a similar ending. Gregg Alexander was the lead singer of the 90s pop rock band New Radicals, most known for their chart-topping hit You Get What You Give, and their successful debut album Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too. His band's music would be everywhere commercially for years to come, being featured in films such as Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Glee, and the main theme from my favorite movie of all time, Surf's Up. The record had been sold over 1 million times across the world, and with this much range and appeal, the band had everything going for it. The media was eating his work up. He had the world in his hands and had nowhere else to go but up. The band would go on tour across America towards the end of 1998, and in March of 1999, they would open for the Goo Goo Dolls on tour. And from an outside perspective, one would think that the band was earning everything they could have ever asked for, but there is much more to the story, and it goes in a very different direction than you would expect. Gregg Alexander has been a music prodigy since he was a kid. Starting his own band at 14 years old, he would start writing songs alongside his siblings and classmates. At only the age of 16, he got signed to A&M Records after getting the opportunity to showcase some of his demo work to producer Rick Nowes, who has been recently inducted into the Songwriting Hall of Fame, and notably worked with artists from Lana Del Rey, Fleetwood Mac, Dua Lipa, Celine Dion, and Stevie Nicks to name a few. Gregg released his first body of work on the A&M deal with Michigan Rain, which ended up being Gregg Alexander's big break. Okay, not really. It was seen as a commercial flop, but the guy was 19, so we'll give him a break. A few years later, he would get a second shot with his next solo project, In Talks of Fornication. This would be under a new deal he signed with Epic Records in 1992. This was the one that moved the numbers, right? Really? People still don't believe in the Gregg experiment. Well, clearly something worked out for— Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Not yet. We're getting to that. Across his two solo records, he worked alongside Danielle Brisbois, a former actress turned songwriter and producer. She had also released some work of her own that Gregg contributed on in 1994. She didn't see much success herself, but made a little bit of noise in Europe with her album Arrive All Over You. Gregg eventually had a goal in mind, of the type of music he wanted to be heard. That's where the foundation of the band we know today as New Radicals began. New Radicals was formed to be centered around Gregg Alexander, where other musicians that wanted to take part were free to come and go from the group, with the exception of his long-term collaborator Danielle. Most of the members ended up being close friends of Gregg, and some positions were swapped with new inclusions to the band for their tours. They would start to perform sporadically, appearing on Jay Leno's Tonight Show, and Nickelodeon's All That, and open for the Goo Goo Dolls, as I mentioned before. This would all be a promotional move that led to their first single in late 1998, the hit record You Get What You Give. And this song means so much to me. I love this song so much it never fails to give me life, which I believe is how a lot of people listen to the song and look at the message. But there's a lot more to the song that really helps you appreciate Gregg's talent in songwriting. In the bridge of the song, he writes, "Health insurance, rip-off flying. FDA, big bankers buying. Fake computer, crashes dining. Cloning while they're multiplying. Fashion shoots with Beckin Hansen, Courtney Love, and Marilyn Manson. You're all fakes. Run to your mansions. Come around, we'll kick your booty in." The contrast of each stanza is clear. The first stanza touches on political issues, while the second stanza is petty celebrity beef. The media took the bait, and the pop culture disses were covered everywhere. Marilyn Manson was even hilariously interviewed about the lyrics regarding his booty being kicked in, and he mentions, "I'm not mad he said he kicked my booty in. I just don't want to be used in the same sentence as Courtney Love. I'll crack his skull open if I see him." And not only that, it brought us this rewarding interview where Gregg roasts the crap out of this lady in the nicest way possible, and comes in with the most clutch save you'll ever witness in your life.
In one of your songs, in the You Get What You Give single, you kind of come out and diss Beck and Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson, calling them fakes. Why is that? What's the point there?
Actually, the point with that was, because a lot of people ask me about that, is it ties into the whole concept of maybe you've been brainwashed too, which is it the media or the people that are perpetuating all the bull crap, for lack of a better term, all the peripheral stupid things that everybody focuses on, like worrying about what somebody wears to a movie premiere, or like focusing on the sex scandal in America, which is just a joke. Well, everybody's focusing on the sex scandal. They're not paying, with Clinton, nobody's paying attention to the real issues. I wanted to see, and what we all wanted to see, was whether the media and whether the people in the media focused on the lyric about, Beck and all that kind of stuff, or whether they focused on the fact that we have banks and the Food and Drug Administration, which, puts, poisonous medicines on the market. And there's all kinds of horrible things going on. And do people care about the pop culture part, or the things that actually are affecting our life? And when I'm out on the streets and I meet people who know the song, people always ask me about the first part of the lyric, what's that about the health, the health insurance rip-off line, all that stuff, because it's a little bit more, it hits close to home. The people care about that, but the media want to, not you, but, in general, like foster the more unimportant part of it, like, the lyric about the other singers.
Sorry, that was a little off topic, but I thought it was really important to give credit to Gregg's clever songwriting. The song succeeds at covering a type of feeling that hadn't been approached enough for the last few decades: hope. And that's a theme that a lot of the record covers. Gregg has even gone on record to even say that his idea of writing music with a sense of hope in mind is more fulfilling to him than most of the industry promoting negativity for higher sales. With their album Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too, it ended up being a massive success, and to this day it has over 1 million copies sold. The band was a smash hit and even had a tour planned for the UK and festival lineups. But after Abrupt cancellations, MCA Records sent out a claim that one of the band's members were too sick to make it on tour, and that it would be in the band's best interest to not continue with the UK tour. But most people were skeptical of the reasoning, and rumors started to spread that the band was breaking up, possibly because their publicist had denied that there was even remotely the case that someone was sick. Just a few weeks after the cancellations, Gregg Alexander would be announcing that the band New Radicals, as everyone knew it, would be disbanding indefinitely. Gregg mentions that he simply missed feeling like an artist every day and being able to write songs every day and not feel like my time was being controlled and managed to answer to corporate shareholders. I missed my old life. The physical and mental strain of touring was taking too much of a toll on Gregg. It wasn't a lifestyle that was meant for him. Getting only a few hours of sleep a night in a different hotel and doing media runs for the success of You Get What You Give wasn't interesting enough to him. And his lack of enjoyment would carry over to his live performances. So he would move his career in a direction that was right for him, and that was writing and producing music for other artists. As a result of the band disbanding and no further marketing being done, their second single, Someday We'll Know, didn't garner anywhere near the same amount of attention that the leading single garnered. The album was received well critically and has been known to be a staple album of the 90s. You Get What You Give is a certified 90s anthem, and there are still people to this day holding on to hope that Gregg will make a return with new music or a reunion tour at least. And the likelihood is extremely unlikely, since he had mentioned that being the center of attention isn't his type of lifestyle, and he's comfortably settled into a songwriting career for over 20 years at this point. Since the disbandment of New Radicals, Gregg has continued to work on improving his craft, and has stayed true to his beliefs on how he believes music is meant to be distributed and digested. He's even had the noteworthy projects that he's contributed to, such as writing Murder on the Dance Floor for Sophie Ellis Bextor, which has received mainstream notoriety with the inclusion in the popular movie Saltburn that just came out this last year. He wrote that song after his Mustang broke down, when he was planning to go out to the club. That's an amazing example of how Gregg believes that artists are meant to observe life and create art from it. I just had to mention that because he also had the role of a main writer for the soundtrack to 2014's motion picture Begin Again, and that was also a massive success. Now, there's no telling if we'll ever hear anything directly from Gregg Alexander soon, but we did receive a reunion performance in 2021 for the inauguration of Joe Biden. If you take the time to listen to the performance and initial recording of You Get What You Give, you will have to give some respect to this man for holding his voice up all these years. It almost sounds identical to the original recording. Lastly, I like to point out a small lesson from this. There are plenty of opportunities to work in music. You can be an aspiring writer, mixer, or producer. You don't have to be a frontman that does everything. It seems in this day and age that everyone is doing everything themselves, with the barrier to entry to release music and market yourself is the most available it has ever been. But you don't have to live a lifestyle that doesn't suit you. If you love music, you deserve to work on your craft while maintaining your sanity. Gregg Alexander did what was best for him when he was subjectively on top of the world, being a famous entity isn't for everyone, and it doesn't have to be.